Hello and a very warm welcome to Bharata First. You're watching Frank Talk with me, frankrausanpereira. Well, a career in the army, what is it like? What is it that is expected out of someone who wants to join the army? What can you expect in return? Why should you join the Indian Army? And what is it that you will get from the Indian Army? Those are questions that I like to try and answer in this edition of Frank Talk. It's a pleasure to welcome on the program a Shaurya Chakra winner, an Indian Army veteran, Brigadier Jayant Tiwari, retired. He's a motivational speaker. Thank you so much, Brigadier, for being here, and thank you for being a part of this talk.
Yeah, good evening, Frank. It is a great pleasure to be here, and especially interacting on the subject, I think must be of interest to lot many, certainly.
Absolutely. It's of interest to a lot many, and we've seen over the years as well that the Indian Armed Forces has put out some really nice posters, some really good ads, trying to tell people to come and join. So, Brigadier, before we get into what is a career in the Indian Army like, let me find out from you, what made you think of a career in the Indian Army? Why the Indian Army?
Okay, to be very frank, I was in my graduation BSc, and yes, my father was also in army. I have been living in the cantonments, so maybe possibly I can say that. I really cannot say that was the problem, but certainly environment plays a role because you are exposed to these things. My father has been also in 71 war when I was a young child, around 9.5 years or so. And I remember very clearly that during our summer vacations, we are shifted to a village in Bihar. And after summer vacation, we realized that, we have not gone back. We were still children. We kept playing around, and after some time, father had gone off. And then one day I was asking my mother, what has happened? When are you going to get back? So these are actually, I'm trying to recollect. Okay, it is only that trying to recollect what it would have happened. I was a child, like any other child. And then I think war was on. My father went on. I think he came up quite some time later, maybe somewhere March, April or something. I can only guess as of now. During this period, I also recollect that one of my younger sisters, she suffered some problem and she passed away also. And I used to cry to my mother sometimes and ask her that where is father, and she will console me. No, he'll come back, take. And then you, as a child, you go and play. And then later on, father comes back, and then I joined Indian Army. So, and second incident is that somewhere down your thought, it always remains in everyone's mind. To be a soldier, doing this, when you see the tricolor, there's something always there as a child also. And I was in class 5, I can just narrate a little bit that, like class teachers ask you to write a letter to your father. And that's why I remember letter to my father, it was in Hindi. And I had written a letter, and my teacher told me that to call my father next day. I didn't know for what. I went and told my mother, and she said, I hope you have not done anything wrong. I said, no, I was generally a good boy otherwise, disciplined boy at that time, certainly. And I said, no, nothing doing. He said, okay. My father came on, also asked, what has happened? I said, perfectly fine. He just called me. He said, okay. Next day I went to the class, and my father would have come up. And suddenly I realized that class teacher walking in with my father. And all the classmates, start saying, yeah, your father has come. All those hushes things. So it's okay. And then I realized that my class teacher opened my notebook and he read it out. That my class teacher was moved by that. I was in class 5. And there I had written that, they had asked that what do you want to become in life? And Frank, it was written that something that I want to join Indian Army. And I want to be a good soldier for the nation, even at the cost that, I am able to sacrifice my life. I'm not saying that the seeds were inside my mind and I was like, no, but somewhere something always exists. Probably as a child, I had forgotten the environment. And then I appeared and I joined army. So probably it always remains. I think a soldier exists in every human being. Let me put it that way. What profession you finally select, that's a different issue. But I think we are soldiers in all domain in a personal lives as a child. You are disciplined, you love your nation, you love your community, you have a lot of desire to do a lot of things. I think these are traits of a soldier. But after once you graduate, someone becomes something, someone becomes everything is good. So that's how probably I joined Indian military academy.
Wonderful. So lovely to hear that story. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Brigadier. Brigadier, what did you expect? I think this you would have had some level of expectation and understanding, because like you said, your father was already in the army, so you'd been through the process, so to speak, about how he would go, how it would be a transferable job, how you would need to work hard, and so many other factors. So, but still, what did you expect when you decided to join the Indian Army, and when you actually went into the Indian Military Academy and then life progressed? Was it as expected?
Yeah, I think by and large it was all what I had expected, and that's where what I'm saying, that probably I was from a cantonment family. I'd seen my father being away, talking or something. Little, difficulties or challenges of, serving somewhere, remaining separated with families. So those things probably are there. But, when I joined, actually, it starts moving on you then. And that's what it is when you are joining. There is something subconsciously that you are heading for something challenging or difficult, something like that. Maybe physical requirements, that time the physical requirements will be too much. You have to keep a pace with that. And I don't know what is there. So not that, but as a young mind, that feeling of joining was so strong that yes, you knew that you will be probably gearing up for the physical challenges, or something else will be required to be done, and you will probably move. So I think your desire to join, even Frank, I would like to take a liberty of saying, even if a person is joining armed forces as a job, he knows that this job or that job or that job, every job has its own characteristic. So anyone who joins, and it is not that you have just gone and you have pressed the call bell and the door opens and you have joined. No, it is not like this. Every job you have to undergo a process. Whether for a soldier, for a lot of series of physical tests and written tests and various things. And same way officers, you have to pass through written examination and a very, very tricky services selection board of 4 or 5 days. I think it scans through you. So you have undergone, and that's why it examines that you are already prepared, that what you are actually moving for. So somewhere that I think remains a very dominant factor. And physically and all, yes, you go there, those challenges there, you have a difficult times of, building up your mental muscle power and the physical muscle power together. So that's why I think you just move through that.
Absolutely. How did the Indian Army change your life, Brigadier? Anything that you would like to say about that?
Yeah, Frank, this is the most beautiful. I think it makes me feel much younger. I am still young, of course. So I think it becomes the life. I'll not even call it a way of life. It becomes the life. I think that's the biggest of transformation which takes place. And let me associate with people who must be listening. Anything which happens, maybe some encounter, some incidents, some various things keep happening. And we see the Josh in our country, men, brothers, sisters, and we all feel proud of, maybe soldiers and doing this action, that action. So what is that? That is the transformation. Whereas a soldier, we are trained. And I've always stated that a soldier does not realize, is he in the leadership role? Is he supposed to do this, supposed to do that? And there are no straightforward answer to anything. When you are moving, you just take an action. Now, so that is the transformation which takes place by virtue of, onboarding yourself the moment you leave your box into the academy. Next sunshine, you are transformed. I've been talking this, that, people will ask your senior, what's your name? And then like a normal, boy from the civil scene say, I'm Jayant Tiwari. And then, military style, someone will use beautiful language. And they said, you're not Jayant Tiwari, okay? You're a gentleman cadet Jayant Tiwari. So you forget your name, you become a gentleman cadet, GC. So even if you're sleeping, you're a gentleman cadet. And you are supposed to be, loud with a lot of confidence. So that's how the life transforms. And the moment you become, every day you are transforming. And the beauty, Frank, is that you are transforming without you realizing into it. That's the beauty. And that I can take with the conviction that you are into it. And why it happens like that, in spite of all these physical and mental robustness, things which are going on. It happens only because you work as a team. Everyone is together. Even though your superior, who is probably being supposedly little harsh in that moment of time during training, but at the end of the day or later on in the years, you always loved that senior who really, sorted out your happiness. Always, because of that, you became very strong. So that's the transformation. And you stand by anything. I always say that vulnerability word doesn't exist after that. It is only the challenges. And you try to seek challenges in life. And that's the fun, actually. You start living, living on the edge with the fun. That there's nothing very great difference. It is just a matter of simple word, but that's what the personality transforms. I still feel very youngish. I'm still talking about army. So that's the passion with which, it gets ingrained into you. And it's a process of camaraderie, togetherness, team spirit, the way the culture is there. So it actually all combined, it becomes, you get transformed. It becomes the life for you. I think every life is good, but I think you are blessed to be a soldier. I can only say that.
I'm sure. Brigadier, what about some of the challenges, that you face on the jobs in terms of the most important thing I would say is, being away from family for such long periods of time. In some places you can't even take your family along there, and that becomes so much more challenging as well. How do you cope with situations like that?
Okay, this is a wonderful phenomena, and generally I'll say that this is one of the factors which generally comes to the mind. Because when you are not married, then also you have parents. Your mother is there and your father is there. So this is one way of slightly being away. Your mother might be desiring you every moment and thinking that she only knows. But when you get married, this becomes probably more prominent. It's something like a family. Otherwise, family existed earlier also. You have your children, and desirability is there to be together in the process of growing and enjoying the life. But it's a very beautiful phenomena that because you get embodied with the role or responsibility that you are moving there. But when you are away, and those times even we did not have telephones, even that landline telephones were not existing. With very great difficulty as a young officer, you could reach to one telephone like army telephone. It was a different telephone, okay? And, you will request that exchange guy, and then exchange guy will put you through to another exchange, and after 4 or 5 exchanges, by the time you connect to your wife, probably the call gets disconnected somewhere. So, today I am smiling it. But that feeling that you are connecting today, in hindsight, when I say that feeling that you are connecting to speak, whether you are able to speak or not, I think the fun lies that you still remain connected with the family. That was fun, because today, of course, mobile is there. Even your thought is not mature, you pick up and talk. I don't know whether it gives so much of pleasure when you were trying to connect and not able to connect. So I think that pleasure was there. But yes, that separation has an effect, probably more so on the wives directly. And that's why I always say, Frank, that my personal view, I always tell people that my house or my life as a soldier or an officer is built on one pillar. It's not on 4 pillars. That house is there. It is on one pillar, and that pillar is my wife. And I think it applies to everyone. It is only because not that they suffer challenges, but they always have certain issues in their minds, daily routine. They want to talk to husband about the children and all. But when they're talking, they always ask you, how are you? All good. They all talk goodies, and sometimes it's okay. So, that's a very fine balance. But yes, it is a thing which has an effect in the growing up children, you're being together. So whenever you come back on leave or vacation, it's a great life for us, of course. Every moment you live, that's the beauty of the, again, army. But whenever families are there in any station, we have a community and a culture where we look after each other very well. It's a very well organized culture, very well organized. And I think that's the beauty of this, that we suddenly instantly we become friends. We don't have to take who is he. I'm so-and-so, I'm so-and-so. He said, oh, wonderful, come. So that's how it is we take. But yes, it has an effect on, today I can certainly say that I would have loved to be. But when the zones of challenge or decisiveness comes in, naturally, I think it goes into favor of what your responsibility, because your responsibility starts becoming your right, something like that.
Absolutely.
So that's the beauty. It gets ingrained into your wife, in your children, the way it got ingrained probably into me because of my father and my mother. So that's how you, I think, take up the challenges.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Brigadier, coming back to this question, about why should a youngster, why should a young Indian think about a career in the Indian Army?
Yeah. You see, let me put it across very simply and realistically. We all grow up, get education, and we keep planning to get a job. We want to settle down in our life. We want to start earning, and in a respectable way. And whatever is the role or interest, someone wants to become a doctor, engineer, whatever it is. Okay. So I personally take it that yes, the first requirement is certainly, at least in our society, that when you're growing up some education level, you're always aligning our education system is aligned to getting a job somewhere in that stream. And that's where it is that you are probably getting a job. And why armed forces? It is, as I said, that whenever you are applying for something, whichever job, I think consciously or subconsciously, as to what you are going to get into. Job is certainly okay, the first primary factor, but as to what I'm heading to. If I'm becoming an engineer, what is there in that. If I'm becoming a journalist, I know what is going to be there. And what are the challenges, what is the fun or adventure. It is not the challenge more so, it is what the fun I'm going to love it. It's your value which you are wanting to align, but you are somewhere there. At that point of time, some children are there who are very, very fascinated. And I want to become a soldier. I want to become an army officer. There are people. They're very, very strong. But I'm talking about the general people. So this is a job orientation, and where the values are there, that this is a very good proposition of joining army or armed forces. And here, by merely being a graduate, you can just pass. Of course, you have to pass your various tests and all, and you have to get screened in services selection board. You are embarking on a journey to become a class 1 officer. Okay, even for a Jawan after 10th class, you are getting onto. And today, pay structures are so good. After 7th pay commission, pay structure is absolutely good. Okay, the armed forces gives you what not. It gives you virtually everything what is existing in thousands of streams. Every stream exists in Indian Armed Forces. Even if you join as an officer or join as a sepoy. You become an IT expert, you become a computer expert, you become any expert. Rather, domains are much more than what even the civilian counterparts have. You become an ID blast expert, all those issues, cyber security expert. So I'm saying that, the domains are unending. And what? You are only class 10th or class 12th pass, and you are only a graduate. And in the army, you have got lots of education. You can do any amount of studies, and it is all government born. So you actually start scaling up in your life much more. Every facet which is existing outside, people only see that, okay, this is armed forces, this is forge, this is only this. No, it is not. I think there is a lot of education, any field which you want to study. Next is the adventure. You go do the parasailing, hang gliding, skydiving. They're all at the pittance, rather no money. Okay, I'm not saying, you can play any games, you excel. People are winning medals at the Olympics today. So what I'm trying to say, you can't even imagine today all domains what exists in Indian Armed Forces. Whatever you think it exists, in whatever form, social gatherings, you live up to your life, you enjoy every bit. The camaraderie which is there, looking after people, yes, how to handle the challenges. So I'm just saying the streams are there, pay structures are very well, you are getting a pension, you're very secured, various kinds of there. There are a lot of securities which exist. So I think it's holistically, if I see that, I still tell people that people are sensible. This is the finest profession, not because I'm from Indian Army. The lifestyle actually becomes so good. And today pay structures are very good. And you end up doing everything, whether sailing, rafting, get into shooting at the international standards. You name a thing, you are there. So that's what it is. People are exceptionally good singers, you get exposed there. People have gone to the theater. People are into the so-called military journalism. They write a lot of things. We tell people, we have our classes that you are supposed to read books, write reviews. So what I'm trying to say, that the growth profile is tremendous, which does not exist. And I can say with conviction, with the last 2-3 years after my retirement, I'm into a journey. I'm otherwise a ICF certified coach now. I'm a NLP certified practitioner and all those issues. I do a lot of mentorship online and I'm interacting with the people. And I'm saying that I think everyone must have some exposure, not for anything, to see that, you have so much more to do it here, so much more to do it. Don't restrict yourself to one line. There's so much from this life. So I think it's a wonderful profession. And it's not that selling a profession, it is that people are not aware. I only came to know it is only one profession where, in two sense, your potentials are unfathomable, potentials are explored. I even don't know as to what is there in me. And slowly you build up. You suddenly become people start calling you that, oh wow, JK, so brave. You didn't know whether you were brave or not, but yes, you were into action. So it just happens. So it's a beautiful profession, and that's how I would like to put it across in a very holistic manner. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And Brigadier, what are some of the challenges, and how can youngsters, overcome some of these challenges that are there on the job?
Okay, let me start. At the time of entering, onboarding, or when they are in the process of so-called hiring. Of course, we do not have the process of hiring. We only call it. There's a little difference in the words only. We are getting into the process of selection, and so people have to train themselves, whether physically or when you are going as an army officer, you have to prepare certainly. And that's, of course, initially when you get on board, you have to be firm there, because the initial part, anything which you are getting into will always be, because the environment is changing. And it's nothing great. You always get used to. If you're, suppose you're flying for the first time, whatever it may be, you always feel, I don't know how it will be there and where to check in or do. So every issue has its own. People have to keep their peace of mind intact and the desire of being there. So this is first challenge, that they have to prepare and be at it. Next is that you have to, be at it for doing your physical fitness, mental robustness, and your ever-going upgradation in your life. What I was mentioning, your education, your exams, your your communication skills, everything you have to do. These are the challenges, because you face it, you know it as to whether you are doing it correctly or not. So these are the challenges that, when you are told to do a job mission, you might have trained for various things. But what happens at the final junction, if you are a young leader, it is your call, and you are at the spur of moment. So these are the So one is that, at the time of entry. Second is when you are graduating during the course, and when you are at various missions, you have to have been firm. You have to be very empathetic. The army leaders or soldiers at various level leaders, they have to have they have to have a highest degree of emotional quotient. Okay. When we talk that, okay, Fauji, oh wow, this is good, and how's the Josh, all those things, that's okay. But I also say that they are the most sensitive people. They are highly emotional people. And these all characteristics, they are people with highest of spiritual quotient. Not that I'm sitting in front of a idol and praying, but your passion and devotion is so strong in that alignment to the value that you say to the God, you better be with me, okay? I'm sure you will not let me not align with my, because that's the purpose, that's the spirituality. So what I'm saying, that you actually start doing this all along the training. And this is the challenge, because beauty is that you don't even feel it. You're just maturing it. Today I talk about the emotional quotient, and I never realized, and Frank, I would like to take this opportunity. Today I talk people, I say that I'm a mindset coach. I'm a mindfulness coach. Let me tell you, in my heart of heart, I'm reading as to why I used to act the way I acted. I always say that, you as a soldier you are the best person to handle or be in that mindfulness status. No one else. And this I can speak with conviction. Because when you are in encounter as a small team operation or a leader, and you can understand when you are an encounter militant on top of a jungle or something like that, people might say, so much of chaos. Yes, it may be chaos. But what is that so important? Every mind has to be totally at peace. Every mind has to be in the present moment. Otherwise, there is going to be a drastic action. You can understand that. So that is the state of mindfulness which a combat leader has to exercise. I always say that I don't know, sages are sitting in the jungles in a comfort zone. They can achieve that. I can achieve that today. But as a soldier, you have to be always high state of mindfulness. And the mindset creation, you are told, let's move there. Kargil came up and you were told something to do and you moved on. Your minds get created. You start knowing that I can do it, yeah, don't worry. And that movie, How's the Josh type, that Uri, that is a simple example that, by shouting, how, and it instills, within the family, he say, yaar, chalo, chodo, leave it, all this talk. Let's do it, okay? We have to do it. They say, yes, okay, let's do it. And that's how it is. So I think the challenges are wonderful word. Challenge, I always love this word challenge, because it gives you a lot of possibility, syndrome, winning feasibility. And you said that, one challenge, challenges leads to your excellence, of course. You keep moving from one end to the other. And that's a part of your camaraderie. Again, I'll say, the way you build up your team, the way the internal resources build up, it keeps together. So I think that's how the life formulates. And these are the small challenges. You built up your mental robustness. You have difficult moments. I do not deny that. You have difficult moments when some soldier under you gets injured in an encounter. Sometimes, you have to take a harsh decision telling, no, you will not go on leave tomorrow. But when you come back, always think. It's not that, what you spoke. You come back and you call your subordinate, you say, ask him what is the issue. And then he pass, no, tell him that he can proceed. So point is that your mind is always at work into that. And this happens not as an offset at all levels in that. So that's how it is.
Brigadier, let me just combine a couple of aspects that you spoke about and let's try and address that as well. One is of the selection process itself. You spoke about the services selection board and how it is, probably one of the most difficult processes to go through and get through eventually, because there's that whole cancelling out process that the Indian Armed Forces also goes through, because it wants to ensure that you are ready and you're taking the right person, maybe not the best person, but the right person for the job as well. That is one. Secondly, of course, the mindset aspect that you spoke about. So what kind of a mindset do you need to have to go through this entire selection process itself?
Okay, as I told you, that the moment you are appearing for an exam or wanting to think about a profession, you may apply. Maybe I've applied for getting into the CDS. I've also applied to become an engineer. This phenomena happens. So where is that alignment? At least what has happened that, that person or that boy is at least thinking that I must also join army. So that option is there in his mind. But let me put it across that how is the mindset actually which is there. If the initial portion which is existing, when he goes there, and the moment he joins academy, there are difficult moments, and that is the transformation in the mindset which takes place. And there are really negligible percentage of people who leave also training and they move out. But they are exceptionally negligible percentage. So what is that, the majority of the people suddenly get onboarded like that. It is only when you are there and suddenly, over the night, you are talked, you are told, you are made to do some issues and all. Your team which is there, the group which is there, you all start doing, you actually suddenly become a good team person. And that togetherness builds up. And then, after that particular session, whatever you are undergoing, you basically sit down and you laugh it out. You say, yaar, this is what it is, like that. And that's how the mind actually starts being. It is because if you're alone, probably your mind might sink. But when you're together, I'm talking about the first evening, first day at the academy. And then you suddenly, because they are very crucial moments, you're getting into the mindset. And then you realize that, how did you actually cope up with all those? It was only because, when you found people who are not even known to you, but you knew that they are your batchmates. You are together doing various physical exercises. If I can put it across in more, polite way, in that way. So, when you're doing it, that is the togetherness which puts it. And he said, come on, yeah, let's do it. Don't worry. And what happens that then you start feeling there is, as far as the physical portion is concerned or the mental phenomena, we have unlimited potential. It is how much you can take it. When you go for various courses and all, subsequently, maybe suppose commando course also. Some people undergo commando courses. You come to know you have to pass a test and you just keep moving. Everyone is doing. And you also end up doing it. You suddenly realize that, wow, the potential is actually unlimited. And that's how the minds get created. You start having a belief that it can be done. Don't worry. If order is there to do it, then it has to be done. Something that, so that's how it's a process that, slowly mind starts accepting that it has to be done. And smaller pains and all, in the body pain somewhere, you get injured somewhere. And one person, we are all connected so well that some person may feel sometimes little low. I do agree that. So what happens that we always sense and smell together as a senior or as a subordinate peer, and we always walk up to him and say, hey, come on, what's up? He said, no, all well. He said, no, yaar, bata koi, something like that. And that's where it is. It's just a momentary status in the mind. We all are human beings, of course. So that's how the mindset, that you actually become in that winning mindset. That it's okay. Life is a phenomenon. We have to live it up. So that's how the mindset gets created. And you actually develop into that phenomena, what we generally see into a soldier.
Absolutely. And finally, before I let you go, Brigadier, any words of advice, words of wisdom that you'd like to share with any of the youngsters who would like to look at a career in the Indian Armed Forces?
Yeah, I would like to say that this is the best career holistically. There's no two way about it. It gives you exposure to virtually anything possibly under the sun. Even under the sun may not be knowing as to how much potential that sun has. You have so much of fields to actually, it is up to you to what it. And once you join, know that. You start knowing as to what you are, what is the capability of a human being. You actually explore that. The environment within the army or armed forces is so wonderful. It's exceptionally wonderful. I do not think that this type of relation even exists between two brothers. One thing which is there, when at the time of entering, you must have your own belief, okay? Have little faith. At that stage, when you are entering, getting into maybe joining as an officer, maybe getting on board as a soldier or whatever it is, you are in a very different frame of mind that, you have to pass that test. I don't know what will happen, anxiety, all those issues will be there. And my only one advice, I always tell even young children today, that be what you are. Even nowadays, children come up, sir, I've got my SSB, what should I do? Can you guide me? I say, I'll guide you rest of the thing. But the first requirement is how much you are what you are supposed to be. And this is a big, it is something like knowing yourself. But, and what I define, I say that, let me tell you very simply. We generally try to see what is required there, but there people are wanting to see you. Don't think that, since I have retired as a brigadier, I have everything, great going in my personality. So there may be something, I'm not saying there is something drastically bad or something. There are something pluses, there are something, lesser. So I said, just be there and leave it to those psychologists. But if you try to, modify it and merge it, that is not a good sign. So try and just be as simple boy as you are, as simple as a boy what your parents wanted you to become, and nothing more and nothing less. What your parents wanted you to become, or what you would like your child to become as a normal human being in the mind. Just be there. I said that at least 60% of jobs, you will clear it. It's not that, you have to speak a fluent English. You have to, of course, know a little bit. You have to be a little knowledgeable about your maybe current affairs, your talking ability, and all those things are there, which generally a person can do. But the major issue is that you have to be very, very natural and normal. I personally feel that actually takes you, because that actually takes you to the other parts of the life subsequently. It is very comfortable for you to take very clear and authentic decisions in your life.
Absolutely.
I'm not bothered. I'm taking. So I think the person has to be very, very comfortable with himself or herself today, and believe in yourself. If you're thought to become, believe in. You are not succeeded once, don't lose heart. You try and see that what was the thing. Very strongly that if you are knowing yourself and you are being very natural and truthful to yourself, I do not find any reasons that you will not be selected. So this is what I want to put it across.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so very much, Brigadier, for sharing your views, your wisdom, and your thoughts really on this very important subject, and giving a part of your life to us during this course of this interview. A pleasure having you on Bharata First. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, Frank, and let me thank you for giving me this opportunity to share these points. It's just that one of the experiences from me, if it can be useful for the younger generation or anyone listening, it will be of some use, of course. And I'm grateful to your channel, and wish you good luck.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, Brigadier, and have a very good evening. Well, that's it on this edition of Frank Talk. But since you're here, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and share the content as well, so that more people get to know about Bharata First. It is up to you to spread the word and let more and more people get on board to this platform. Also, you can subscribe to our newsletter to get some incisive information. And how can I not tell you about the Bharata First Knowledge Center? It is your one-stop destination for all your competitive exams needs. We now have 26 amazing courses all put together to help you in your competitive exams and also make you better Bharatiyas. Live classes for the second phase are currently going on. Do ensure that you register now and participate in the interactive sessions. Go to kc.bharatafirst.com for more details. Many candidates who cleared the UPSC CSE this year have thanked Bharata First and the Knowledge Center for playing a big part in their success. Hundreds are reaping the benefits of the Knowledge Center. So don't be left behind and don't regret later. Register now. You can also download the Bharata First app and participate in several of the quizzes and other activities that happen through the app. These are free, of course. You can make use of them and improve your knowledge. All this information, along with some must-see recommendations, are in the description of the video. Please go through it, and I'll see you next time.